You hear something breathing beyond the firelight, and your skin tightens before your mind knows what is waiting there. It is bigger than you, faster than you, and built from muscle, teeth, patience, and a hunger older than language. But the animal does not rush in. It stops where orange light touches the first strip of darkness. That pause is the mystery. Why would a born predator hesitate near a creature with no claws tonight? In the deep past, this was not courage. This was calculation, and every second could decide who survived. Your ancestor's body was soft, thin-skinned, and breakable, yet the group around the fire changed the equation completely. One pair of eyes could miss movement. 10 pairs could turn the night into a living alarm system. The predator could smell sweat, smoke, cooked scraps, and fear. But it also smelled risk near human bodies. This video asks one sharp question. What made ancient humans frightening to animals that were born to frighten everything else? The answer is not simple dominance. Your ancestors became dangerous through layers, each one changing the predator's choice. First came the oldest layer, fear itself. Before humans scared predators, predators shaped the body you still carry. Your shoulders, eyes, hearing, and sudden nighttime panic all belong to a world where darkness had teeth nearby. So the story begins not with victory, but with a campfire circle and something watching from beyond it. To understand that watcher, you must step back to the time when your ancestors were still prey too. Because the first thing predators feared in you was not power. It was the strange way fear gathered together. Before your ancestors frightened predators, they lived beneath them, sharing grass, trees, and darkness with hunters already perfected by evolution. The fossil record does not show a throne. It shows vulnerable bodies, broken bones, and warnings written in ancient damage. One famous child fossil from South Africa reminds you that danger sometimes came from above, not only from the grass. If a large bird, cat, or hyena noticed weakness, your small body could become part of its landscape. This is the uncomfortable beginning. Your line was not separate from nature. Your line was food, competitor, and watcher. Predators did not need evil minds. They needed timing, distance, surprise, and the ability to read fear quickly. Your ancestors answered with the first defense every fragile animal knows: attention, because noticing danger early buys precious seconds. A rustle was not background noise. A shadow was not decoration. Your brain learned to treat uncertainty as information. In that world, the wrong calm could kill you faster than the wrong fear ever could at dusk. So your ancestors became nervous in useful ways, scanning edges, remembering sounds, and waking before danger touched the camp. But fear alone was not enough. A frightened animal runs. A frightened human could point, shout, and warn another. That tiny difference mattered, because a predator facing one body saw prey, but facing many signals saw trouble. The hunted creature was beginning to become a social problem, and predators are cautious when problems can injure them. Phase by phase, you will see those problems stack: eyes, fire, missiles, endurance, memory, and cooperation into danger. But first, you need to meet the older truth. For a long time, the night was hunting you. Alone, you were fragile, but beside other watchers, your fear became a network spread around the fire tonight. One ear heard grass, another eye saw shadow, a third body turned, and suddenly danger faced more than one mind. Predators prefer confusion, but a small group can turn confusion outward, aiming every nervous signal at the same threat. This is why camp was not just shelter. Camp was a living sensor, built from bodies that cared. A child wakes, an elder listens, a hunter grips stone. None of them is strong alone, but together they multiply danger. For a stalking animal, that matters, because injury can mean starvation, even for the most powerful predator alive. So the predator does not ask whether you are weak. It asks whether attacking you is worth the cost. Those costs began with seeing. Eyes do not bite, but they steal surprise, and surprise is a predator's favorite weapon. When one watcher froze, another could point. When one person slept, another could keep the dark from entering. The group became a ring of attention, and every ring makes a predator work harder for the same meal. Modern animals still understand this logic. Many prey species survive because more eyes reduce the chance of ambush. Your ancestors added something stranger. Eyes connected to voices, hands, stones, memory, and a shared idea of danger. That connection changed fear from a private alarm into a public event, loud enough to bend a predator's decision. A single scream could become 10 bodies moving, 10 faces watching, and 10 chances for the hunter to be hurt. That is why the next weapon was not made of stone. It was the circle itself, glowing around you. That circle did something predators understood poorly. It changed darkness into moving light, heat, smoke, and unpredictable human attention. Fire was not a simple switch in human history. Evidence appears uneven, debated, and different across regions through time. But wherever your ancestors controlled flame reliably, night stopped being pure predator territory and became a border predators had to read. To an animal outside the glow, flame was movement without flesh, heat without body, and sound without footsteps. Your ancestors did not just sit beside fire. They fed it, watched it, carried it, and protected it. For predators, that meant the strange orange thing was attached to a stranger animal that could plan ahead. Smoke stung noses, sparks snapped, voices rose. The camp became a package of signals no predator could ignore. A hunting cat wants clean information: scent, movement, weakness. Fire made the information messy, bright, and dangerous. It did not need to feel human fear. It only needed one useful hesitation before stepping closer. Inside the glow, your ancestors could do something rare in the wild: stay awake together after sunset. That extra waking time meant stories, warnings, planning, and memory could gather where predators once expected silence. Fire protected bodies, but it also protected information, letting danger lessons survive longer than one frightened moment. A predator did not need to understand the lesson. It only needed to choose an easier path elsewhere. This was not total safety. It was something better than helplessness. A place where the dark could be negotiated. Then your ancestors added another trick predators could not ignore. The danger no longer had to stand close. The next frightening change was distance. Your ancestors' body stayed here, but danger could suddenly travel over there. You had no claws, but your shoulder, wrist, grip, and aim turned ordinary objects into moving threats. A throw begins before the hand opens. Feet brace, hips twist, shoulder whips, and the object leaves. For a predator, that changed the rule. Close range was no longer the only place injury could begin. One thrown stone was annoying. Several thrown stones, from several directions, became a problem with moving edges. Archaeology gives this idea weight. At Schöningen, wooden spears show ancient humans making serious weapons before metal existed. A spear is not just a stick. It is planning, shaping, balance, practice, and the decision to strike from reach. With reach, your ancestors' small body became larger on the predator's mental map than it looked. Distance became math: paw range, bite range, spear range, stone range, and the safest choice just beyond them. Now imagine several bodies holding stones and spears together. The predator no longer faced one reach, but many. The predator's choice grew crowded. Fire behind them, voices around them, stones above them, spear points ahead. The dangerous part was not only throwing, it was practice, predicting distance, weight, timing, and another animal's movement. Your brain had to throw at where the target would be, not where the target already was. After enough costly surprises, a smart predator could learn that upright, noisy, object-throwing bodies were not easy prey. But thrown danger was only one shock. The stranger threat was what happened when your ancestors refused to stop. The strangest danger was not speed, it was return. The same upright animal appearing again after the first escape. A prey animal could sprint away, but if you could read its trail, escape became only temporary. A footprint was not just dirt. It held direction, weight, freshness, speed, and sometimes the animal's weakening body. Your brain turned scattered clues into a moving story, rebuilding an animal's path from fragments under the sun. This is where endurance matters. You were not the fastest body, but you could keep moving while heat rose. Scientists have argued that endurance running shaped Homo. But that does not mean every hunt was a long chase. Many animals can outrun you briefly, yet heat, panic, and repeated flight can turn speed into a trap. The point was not to be faster in one burst. The point was to make the chase keep restarting. Find the track. Follow the track. Push the animal again. Let time become your weapon. Even predators could notice that pattern. These strange apes did not vanish after losing sight of prey. Tracking also used memory, where water waited, where shade cooled ground, and where tired animals might turn. To the animal, the chase felt physical. To your ancestor, it also became a map inside the mind. That is why persistence could look almost unnatural. Not stronger, not faster, but returning with information. Most predators win with bursts. Your ancestors could add a different pressure. Slow pursuit stitched together by memory. And when persistence returned to camp, it mixed with something even more immediate. Noise, faces, and a human swarm. Noise changed everything. A quiet animal could be surprised, but a shouting group announced that surprise had failed. The hunter listened from the dark, facing the voices of many, not one body. Your ancestors could make themselves look larger, raising arms, weapons, faces, and fire into one confusing shape. From outside, the display mixed signals: height, movement, heat, noise, eye contact, and objects ready to fly. The animal had to choose quickly: rush, retreat, circle, wait, or search for easier food somewhere else. If retreat happened, your ancestors won without killing anything. Survival often meant convincing danger to leave. Your modern body still knows this trick. When startled, you gasp, widen your eyes, and make yourself noticeable. Direct gaze is powerful because it says, "I see you," and seeing you changes what happens next. One face might be ignored. Many faces turning together created the feeling of a whole landscape looking back. Add stones, sticks, fire, and voices, and the group stopped looking like prey and started looking like trouble. That shift mattered. Predators hunt opportunities, not arguments, and a human group could become an argument. Sometimes the smartest predator was the one that walked away, because another meal did not shout back. After the alarm, your ancestors did not become careless. The group settled, but the watching never fully ended. Over time, repeated signals can reshape a landscape of fear, teaching animals where risk gathers and where it fades. And once a predator learns a pattern, the next encounter begins before you even see its eyes. Learning begins when one bad choice leaves a trace, and the next choice bends around that memory. A predator did not need a human story. It only needed a remembered place where risk gathered before. Scientists call this a landscape of fear. But for deep prehistory, you must treat it carefully. The pattern could include smoke, upright shapes, repeated voices, thrown objects, and places where other predators were challenged. If the same signals appeared again, the animal's body could prepare before the group even moved toward it. This is not mind reading. It is simpler. Bodies learn what hurts, wastes energy, or ruins a hunt. At waterholes, carcasses, caves, and paths, repeated human presence could make ordinary places feel less ordinary. Risk gathered in patterns, near light, near groups, near fresh meat, near tools, and near paths humans reused. That does not mean predators feared every human. It means some learned that certain human situations were expensive. The careful version matters. Not always, not everywhere, not every species, but enough to change choices. The strongest warning may have happened before contact, a path bending away, a hunt abandoned early. Your ancestors might never know it happened. The most important survival event could be an attack that never began. Bones record what happened, but they rarely record what almost happened, or what caution prevented completely. If easier prey existed elsewhere, avoiding humans was not weakness. It was good predatory math. But avoidance was only one side of the story. Soon, your ancestors were not just risky prey anymore. Then the relationship changed again. Your ancestors were not only avoided, They began taking space, meat, and opportunity from predators. A carcass was not just food. It was a crowded argument between teeth, timing, courage, and whoever arrived together. Scavenging was dangerous, but it could teach predators that humans were willing to challenge the old order directly. The goal was not heroic combat. The goal was risk. Enough noise and weapons to make staying expensive. Predators can share a landscape, but they also compete. Your ancestors entered that competition carrying memory and tools. When humans defended meat, the message changed. This soft animal might not run after finding something valuable today. That made your ancestor unpredictable, because prey normally flees, while competitors sometimes hold ground and call allies back. A predator approaching leftovers now had to read more than hunger. It had to read human ownership and danger. Around shared food, your ancestors could become louder, tighter, and more organized than a predator expected from prey. This did not make humans invincible. It made each encounter less predictable, and unpredictability is costly for hunters. Over generations, that cost could matter, especially near camps, kill sites, caves, and paths your ancestors reused often. The old food chain did not vanish. It became messy, because one strange primate kept changing the rules. At that point, fear moved both ways. You feared predators, but predators also had reasons to monitor you. The next question is deeper. When did the hunted animal become a rival powerful enough to alter the landscape? To answer, you must watch your ancestors step from defense into competition, carrying firelight into predator territory again. To answer, watch what still lives in you: the flinch, the night scan, and the sudden silence after a sound. Your body does not wait for proof, because proof often arrived too late for ancestors under ancient darkness. A branch cracks, your shoulders rise, your eyes search. Before thought appears, an older system has already moved. That system was shaped by teeth, but also by the strange success of groups that notice danger together. The fear inside you is not weakness. It is a memory of being edible in a world without walls. But the same body also carries the opposite memory, standing together, making noise, and turning fear outward toward danger. This is why the story is not humans versus nature. It is nature learning to fear one of its own. At night, your brain still paints predators into corners, because old brains survived by filling darkness with possibilities. Sometimes it is wrong. But for your ancestors, one wrong calm could cost more than many false alarms. So your fear is both ancient and useful, a small alarm from bodies that learn to stay alive. And the predator outside the fire was also learning, deciding whether your kind was worth the risk tonight. Maybe it stepped back because of smoke, maybe stones, maybe voices, maybe the memory of another difficult encounter. None of these made your ancestors invincible. Together, they made them harder to predict, harder to approach, and harder to ignore. That is the answer. Apex predators feared not a single weapon, but the impossible bundle of human signals. You hear something breathing beyond the firelight, and now you understand. The darkness was also listening back to you.